everybody, we're back, and what we've decided to do for the next series of demos is to redo some of the ones that we had done when we started these demos during lockdown, because those were live videos and the feed wasn't always good and the quality of the sound wasn't always good. So we're going to do spring onion pancake, otherwise known as bing, which is one of my favorite Chinese snacks, but you can't always get it well done in the city, so I'm going to make it myself. Key ingredients, of course, spring onions. Later on we'll need some sesame oil, but for now we're just going to start with the dough, which is really simple. I have here 4 cups of flour, 4 cups of flour and a cup and a half of water. I'm doing a double batch right now. Normally I would just do 2 cups of flour and 3/4 cups of boiling water. That would make 4 pretty big spring onion pancakes. But because my neighbors are coming down, because they're really excited about making this and they want to learn how to make this too, I'm doing a double batch today. So very simple, I'm going to turn on the food processor so it will get noisy, and then drizzle in the water and let the dough come together. So, needed to add just a little extra water to get the dough together so that it's combining. And then what I'm going to do is take it out. And just put it in a bowl and cover it and let it rest. It needs to rest for at least 30 minutes. And then what we'll do is we'll knead it a little bit more to get it smooth. But you really do need to let it rest so that it's actually easier to knead. So we're going to cut off now, and then we'll come back after the dough has rested and cooled and make our bing. Okay, so we're back. Our dough has been resting for more than 30 minutes, and it's actually quite cool now. And then what we have to do is knead it for a few more minutes to make it a bit more smooth and elastic. It'll again make it easier to roll out when we're making the discs. So this chunk of dough, what I've done is I separated out the big batch of dough into 2s because I prefer to work with smaller amounts of dough just for the kneading. And this is one recipe. So this will make 4 bing, 4 of these scallion pancakes. So I'll keep on working on this for a few minutes. I won't make you watch me. And then we'll come back and I will roll out one of the discs so you can see how to make the pancake. Okay, so we're back, and I've cut the dough into 4 pieces and formed discs like this. And so now we're just going to roll out the dough and form our scallion pancakes. So a little bit of flour just so it doesn't stick. This is a pretty versatile dough. If you're feeling really creative, you can actually try and make homemade noodles with it. You could try and make dumplings. It's a great dough to make, actually. All right. So rolling out the dough to a disc that's maybe about, so bad with measurements, maybe 8 inches. Actually, the bigger you get it and the thinner you get it, then you'll have more flaky layers. So feel free to just get it as big as your board will allow. Well, this is relatively thin now. And then this is how we make the pastry. So we've got some sesame oil. I'm using sesame oil that's a bit darker. I find that the flavor is so much more prominent that way. And that one I think I got at the Japanese grocery store. Because if you go to a Japanese grocery store, they actually have different levels of the sesame oil flavor. Of course, I can't read it, but my friend Yumi told me. And then adding in a bit of fleur de sel, so some salt. There was no salt in the dough, so you can be a little bit more liberal. And then adding some chopped scallions or chopped green onions. I was using mostly the green part because I find that's the part that goes quickly. So I really wanted to use the green part and keep some of the white parts for later on for other dishes. But you can use both. And then this is the key. You're going to roll this up, kind of like a cigar. Okay. And kind of turn it back into a disc on itself. Just like that. This is the same technique that in Indian cuisine you use to make a paratha. And so the pancake has all these layers of scallion, sesame oil, pastry. If you lose some scallions, that's okay. People will still love it. Alright, and then when we come back, I'm going to heat up my pan and cook this out, and then we'll have a taste. So we are ready to cook. We've got the pan on. I've already preheated my pan a bit, just because I've been cooking a few already. And it's on low heat, on my biggest burner though. And I've added some avocado oil. You can use whatever you like, just, a neutral oil. I just tend to use avocado because it's healthier. And then it doesn't really take all that long to cook, but you're always sort of trying to balance between getting it really brown and crispy and not crispy enough. So just keep an eye on it. This is definitely active cooking. But what's going to happen is the layers will start to sort of separate a little bit, and it'll get quite crispy. And of course the onions start to cook up. So it all sort of cooks at the same speed, which is fantastic. And in some other recipes I've seen recipes requiring a dipping sauce for this. I add salt to my tom yum bean, so you can just kind of eat it on its own. And that's the way I like it. This would probably be a really great breakfast dish if you put like a fried egg on top. And so there we have, I'm just going to turn down something else I have on the stove. And there you've got a brown top there. Just trying to use some of that residual avocado oil just to absorb into the pastry. And of course you want to give it enough time so that the dough gets cooked. So I don't know if you can see, but it's getting somewhat fluffy. You can see because the layers are starting to separate a bit and rise because you've got the layers of sesame oil in between. So the other side, because you're using a bit less oil, will have more of an uneven char, but that's okay. I'll just turn this off now. Trying to do this without the fan so that it doesn't interfere, but it does get a bit smoky, so when you're doing this at home, definitely use a fan. And that's it. That would be scallion or spring onion pancake, Chinese style. Yeah, that's one of my favorite Chinese snacks. This one's really hot, so I'm probably not going to eat it right now, but I can tell you it's delicious because I've already had a few of these. Thanks for joining.